Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have the pleasure of checking out something that I personally have been unbelievably excited for, something I have been looking forward to immensely. We have our very first chance to take a look at Arttoys and their amazing Chaos Effect style models. These are obviously models that are based on the Jurassic Park Chaos Effect line, but they're sculpted and created in a much more realistic and lifelike way rather than the toy line, which is obviously where the inspiration for these models came from. And the model we're going to take a look at today is the Paradeinonychus, if you couldn't tell already by, of course, the thumbnail, the title of the video, and just the visual of the dinosaur. Anyone familiar with the Chaos Effect line probably immediately would have known that this is the Paradeinonychus. But again, I think it looks amazing. They really have done a phenomenal job of sculpting this out in a way where it looks like it could have completely appeared in some sort of Jurassic Park film or something, because it looks like a real and actual good combination of a Parasaurolophus and a Deinonychus to kind of create this very interesting hybrid. They definitely pulled this off quite brilliantly. So I'm super hyped to get a closer look at this. Can't even begin to express how excited I am for this. So let's jump to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Paradeinonychus, you can straight away see, of course, not only the fact that it is obviously a hybrid dinosaur, but also the resemblance to the toy from the Jurassic Park toy line. I think they did a great job of, capturing the overall likeness of that toy, but bringing it to life in a way more realistic way. You can see we have all the coloration that you saw on the toy with the yellowish tones. You've also got the blacks up above that kind of stripe down through the palette and everything. And you can also see we've got that blue around the eye, a nice red eye with a black slit-like pupil, and there's also a nice little white spot there to give us that eye shine sort of look. On top of that, you can also see the nostrils sculpted out right there on the tip of the snout, or what would be the beak of the Parasaurolophus. But you can see up here on the top of the head, we again have that classic Parasaurolophus crest. There's some really nice fine detail to the crest. As you look closely, you can really see how nice the sculpt and detail is. Definitely looks really good. But as you move down, you can see some really fine scale detail and skin texture there around the eye, or at least you could if we didn't lose focus. And you can see more of that as you lead up here toward the snout of the dinosaur. There are also some nice orangish tones you'll see as we move through the body that mesh with the yellowish tones really nicely, giving this one of the most striking visuals I think I've ever seen. We've got the mouth sculpted in an open position. All of the teeth are sculpted really nicely, painted really nicely. You can see the skin stretching there on the inside of the mouth as the dinosaur has its mouth in an open position. If we come from the front, you can get a much better visual of how nice the detailing looks on the inside of the mouth. Again, the teeth look really good. The tongue as well looks fantastic. All of it has a really nice realistic coloration in there as well. And you can see the detailing there on the inside of the mouth and the upper side as well looks super nice. Of course, we have the same style of sculpt and detail and the, just general appearance, the same over here that we saw on the initial side. And one thing that's really cool, I don't know how good we'll see it from that side. We'll go back over here because the head is turning to its left, stretching the skin away from us. You can see that there's a little area of skin here connecting from the back of the neck up into the crest, and that as well has been given that nice bluish tone. But as you move down to the lower jaw, you can see again more of that black striping down. You can also see more of it there on the tip of the lower jaw, and you can also see some more really nice scale detail, as well as quite a bit, again, of variation of color within those yellow tones, as you can kind of see yellows and off-whites in there, giving it a really realistic look. As you begin to move down the course of the neck, you can see more of that really nice scale detail. You can also see it increasing in size as you move down. You've got that striping effect moving down here into the side of the neck as you move down. You can see some tensing in the neck. You can also see the throat here on the underside. And again, the really nice paintwork as we can see variations of color moving down. As we continue to move down a little bit further, you can kind of make out the shoulder blade right there. You can also see the arm is sculpted quite nicely. You can definitely pick out the muscle definition as well as some more nice looking scale detail moving down. And then we've got like some scoots moving down the front of the arm down into the hands. And when you move down into the hands, you can see they look incredibly cool. And they also have a webbing to the fingers, which is really cool. And you can really start to see the orangish tones picking up as you move down the course of the arm. You can see it moving down, from even up here in the palate area, moving down the neck and everything, but it's really vibrant as you move down into the arms. You can also see the fingers are sculpted nicely within that webbing, and you can also see the nails as well look great. They're painted with a nice black tone, and you can see the undersides of the hands do have some white coloration there on like the palms and the undersides of the fingers. As you move up into the stomach region, you can again see how nice the scale detail is. You can see how it's nice and fine down here and just increases in size quite drastically as you move up toward the top. You can definitely make out the spinal column moving along the back, the hip bone as well. More nice muscle definition as you move down. And again, those yellows and oranges, they really are super vibrant. Like the paint job of this is probably one of the most visually appealing I've ever seen, because the tones of color used not only match the original toy quite nicely, but just shine so beautifully. It's really vibrant. As you move down, you've got the calf muscle, and you can really pick out how nice the scale detail looks as you move down the front of the leg here. Really highlighted that scale detail very nicely. And then as you move down into the foot sculpt, you again can see how good that scale detail looks, but you've also got scoots running down the front of the foot, and obviously this is a little more of our Deinonychus flavoring, as we have a sickle claw and everything over here. Nicely, very, very nicely and carefully painted nails, and everything again looks really good. You do also have dew claws right there, which you can see on the opposing leg, not this one because it's kind of hiding back there. But then as you lead back up here into the tail, you see more large scale detail moving out. I think the scale detail in general kind of increases in size quite a bit again as you move through the course of the tail, unless you head down here on the underside. It definitely becomes a lot more fine. But as you move out, you can see we have a really cool, turn and pose for the tail. Really nice, majestic looking pose, I would say. And of course, that striping effect moving all the way out. You're not going to see too much difference over here compared to what we saw on the initial side. But one thing you will notice, of course, is the fact that the head is turned toward us. And you can see, again, more of the same style of detail here in the neck region as you move down. You can see the arm here on the left-hand side is a little bit further forward compared to what we see on the arm on the right-hand side. So a little bit of difference as far as that goes, just giving a little bit more life to the model, of course, which is never a bad thing. You can see that the leg over here is trailing a little bit more so than what we have on the opposing leg. I actually really quite like the pose of this. Just gives it a very mischievous and kind of creepy looking appearance, as the dinosaur almost looks as if it's like sneaking along. But again, the foot sculpt looks great. The toenails and everything are painted just as nicely as they were on the initial side, and now you can see the dew claw over on the other side. And then you lead back out into the tail again with that really nice elegant curve. And you can see as we move here along the underside, there's definitely some lighter tones here on the underside here, really light yellows and off-whites and stuff as you move through. So when it comes to a Chaos Effect figure, that is absolutely epic. Another fun part about this model is it does have some pretty good size to it. So for a length, if we go from the lower jaw to the tail, you are looking at about 13¼ inches, or around 33½ centimeters, closing in on 34. And for a height, about a little over 4½ inches, maybe approaching 4¾ but not quite, or around 11½, closing in on 12 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Arttoys Paradeinonychus. And you can definitely see, like I said, it has a pretty good size, especially when it comes to the tail length. That tail length is quite impressive, but it looks absolutely incredible, honestly, stepping in here next to these other figures. Really, again, showing off, I think, just how impressive these are. Then, as we look at a little bit of this dinosaur's family history, we've got the Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus next to our Arttoys Paradeinonychus. And you can see they could make a pretty cool diorama. It almost looks like that head of the Paradeinonychus is turning at almost a perfect angle to kind of bite the neck of the Parasaurolophus, so that would be a pretty cool way to actually display this. But definitely another comparison that, I would think would help many out, because the Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus is definitely a popular release. And then for another comparison that's pretty interesting, we've got a Mattel Velociraptor here next to the Paradeinonychus. I can't exactly bring in a Mattel Deinonychus or a Kenner Deinonychus because there is no such thing. We haven't had a Deinonychus in the Jurassic line so far, so The, only thing we can really do is settle for a Velociraptor. And they are pretty popular within the Mattel line, so odds are you've probably either had a Mattel Velociraptor or at the very least seen one at one point, so a comparison that I think is pretty helpful. And then for some more randoms, we've got the Safari LTDU Tyrannus, the Schleich Diabloceratops, and Collect Day Deluxe Dimetrodon next to our Paradeinonychus for yet another comparison. And then we have the actual Paradeinonychus from the Chaos Effect line, and you can see how cool they look together. Obviously a way more realistic looking version when it comes to the Arttoys interpretation of the Paradeinonychus, but you can see that they follow the general idea and appearance of this dinosaur perfectly, I would say, when it comes to creating their version. And honestly, I think I like the Arttoys version way more. The colors just look so much nicer, especially with the addition of those orangish tones. So this is probably the best comparison you can get when it comes to these figures, because you would really like to see it with the original, and I think they look awesome together. And just for the heck of it, here's one final comparison, as we actually have the Siret Tech hatchling version of the Paradeinonychus next to the Arttoys version, and you can't possibly deny how cool these two look together, having an adult and baby here of this dinosaur. That is awesome. So this brand new Arttoys Paradeinonychus, again Chaos Effect style Paradeinonychus, is absolutely epic. Honestly, I couldn't be more in love with this. It is so cool to have more realistic versions of the Chaos Effect dinosaurs. I think it is a fantastic idea on the part of Arttoys, and I'm so hyped to see everything else that they're going to be working on and releasing as time goes on. But this Paradeinonychus was a great choice to start with, because it's a very interesting hybrid dinosaur, very interesting to take, a Deinonychus and mix it with a Parasaurolophus, like such different dinosaurs, to combine into one, and look at how cool it looks. Even though not everybody is a big fan of hybrids, I was always a big fan of the Chaos Effect line, and I actually still haven't completed it. There's like 3 figures I think I still need to get for that line. But having the Paradeinonychus is definitely, something that I was a big fan of when it came to the original Chaos Effect line, and having a more realistic interpretation now from Arttoys is absolutely as awesome as it gets. They again did a great job on creating this dinosaur in a more realistic way. The sculpt is phenomenal. Not only the general appearance again is great, but I think just the overall pose and positioning and the way they've given it almost like, again, kind of a creepy sort of a look. I love everything about it. The fine detail as well is fantastic. The tones of color that are used on this is incredibly beautiful. I love the fact that they've added those purplish tones that you do see on the original version, moving along the body, moving along the back, that, they kind of transition from the blacks up there in the head down into the purples of the body. And it's such a really nice transition into those tones of color, but they've still given the purples like a darker sort of appearance. So it gives it, in my opinion, a bit more of a realistic look. But as you move through, again, not only is the sculpt incredibly impressive, but the paintwork as well, because the colors used look as awesome as it honestly can get. They're so vibrant and really pop. Like, I honestly can't even begin to express how nicely they pop here in person. It's probably one of the nicest figures to look at that I've ever seen in my life, because the colors look so cool on it. And they've added in numerous different tones of color through the course of the entire figure. Again, just so much really nice paintwork added to this, giving it an incredibly high quality and professional feel. So if you are interested in getting yourself one of these absolutely epic Paradeinonychus figures from Arttoys, there is a pre-order currently live where you can head on over there and order yourself this amazing figure. I was lucky enough to get this a little bit early. Thank you to Arttoys for letting me acquire this a bit early and get a review up for you guys to kind of hype up the release for this. But if you are interested, again, make sure you check the link that I will include in the description so you can head on over to the Arttoys social media accounts, and then of course get yourself one of these amazing Paradeinonychus figures. So make sure you do that. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.